In this video, we're going to be looking at estimating population proportions. So number 1 says a student newspaper wants to predict the winner of a city's mayoral election. 2 candidates, A and B, are running for office. 8 staff members conduct surveys of randomly selected residents. The residents are asked whether they will vote for candidate A. The results are shown in the table. So part A says, based on the results of the first 2 sample surveys, do you think candidate A will win the election? Explain. So I'm looking at this table. I see there are several surveys. I see the first one only has a sample size of 5, then 12, all the way up to 200. And it gives us the percent of votes for candidate A in the sample. And so I see in the first 2, I have 40% and 33.3%. So based on those 2 samples, I would say that candidate A will not win the election. So I want to say no. And that is because the percent of votes are less than 50%. Because since there are only 2 candidates in this race, you need a voting percentage of greater than 50%. Okay, and then part B says, based on the results in the table, do you think candidate A will win the election? Explain. And so I see as my sample size gets bigger that the percentage of votes for candidate A is actually growing. And I see at the very end, I have a 59%. And so I see as the sample increases, the estimated percent of votes approaches 59%. And so because of that, since 59% is greater than 50%, candidate A will probably win the election. So this shows the importance of sample size. You see that a small sample size may be not a good representation, but the bigger the sample size, the more accurate the representation of the population. Let's look at one more. This one says 2 candidates are running for class president. The table shows the results of 4 surveys of random students in the class. The students were asked whether they would vote for the incumbent. Do you think the incumbent will be reelected? Explain. And so that word just means the previous class president, the one that had it before. So we're wondering if they're going to be reelected. And so here, again, we want to look at how we see the percent of votes change as the sample size increases. So I see in that first survey, when there's only 10, there was a 70% votes for yes. But I see as the sample size increases that this actually decreases. And so I want to say as the sample size increases, the estimated percent of votes approaches, I see it's approaching 42%, about, which is less than 50%. And so since it's less than 50%, I can say the incumbent will most likely not be reelected.